They sent us down to clear a drain. That is the whole of it, if you want the short version. A blocked drainage channel on the bedrock level of Orvain prison colony. 4 condemned men with shovels, and a guard named Paris, who told us he would be back in 2 hours. Then the shaft hatch closed, and the sound of the colony above us, the boots, the machinery, the constant low hum of the processing units, went away. There were 4 of us. Caldwell, who had been a field surveyor before his conviction. Marsh, who never talked about what he had been. Teague, the youngest, maybe 22, and me, Darren Holt. I had spent 11 years as a maintenance custodian on the surface level before someone in the administrative chain decided I had seen something I shouldn't have seen, and signed papers that said I had done something I had not done. The drainage channel ran along the base of the eastern bedrock wall. Something had blocked it 30 meters in, a collapse of old stone fill, packed with mineral deposit, and we started working. That was when Caldwell's lantern swung left and caught the door. I don't know why none of us had seen it on the way in. But there it was, set flush into the bedrock, 4 meters tall and 2 wide. No visible frame or hinge or handle. The stone it was made of was not the same as the wall around it. The wall was gray-brown sedimentary rock, pitted with age. The door was something else, dark, almost black, with a surface texture like the grain of wood, except it was not wood. Caldwell put his hand flat against it. He pulled it back and said it was cold. Not cool. Cold. The kind of cold that comes from something sealed for a very long time. Teague tried pressing both palms against it. Nothing. Marsh ran his fingers along the seam looking for a catch. Nothing. He kicked the base once, hard. The sound was not stone, struck against stone. It was lower, more resonant, like striking the hull of something very large and very old. Then Marsh stepped back and we all agreed, without saying it, to finish the channel and go up. I was 3 steps away when I stopped. I turned around and walked back to the door. Not because I had a plan. I was a maintenance custodian. I had spent 11 years fixing drainage systems and ventilation ducts and faulty seal joints. Walked back the way I would have walked back to any stubborn piece of blocked infrastructure. Not out of curiosity, but out of reflex. Something in the way the door sat wrong in the wall. Something that needed a second look. I put my right hand flat on the surface. Not pushing, just resting it there, the way you put your hand on a pipe, to feel if there is pressure behind it. Cold went through me in one breath, then it went away. What replaced it was warmth, the kind that comes up through old stone that has been sitting in afternoon sun. Lines of white gold light, thin as wire, traced outward from the contact point of my palm, not random, following the grain of the material the way roots spread under soil. The way a river seen from high enough breaks into tributaries. The light reached the seam, crossed it, spread into the surrounding wall, 3, 4, 5 meters in every direction. And I understood then that the door was not simply set into the rock. Whatever was behind it extended into the bedrock of this entire section of the colony, deeper and wider than any of us had imagined. Behind me I heard Teague make a sound that was not a word. Caldwell's shovel hit the ground. The door opened. Not swinging, not sliding, it separated, the dark material drawing back into itself on both sides the way curtains are drawn apart, and behind it was a hall. The ceiling was lost in shadow above our lanterns, but the white gold veining now covering every surface gave us enough to see by. The walls were carved, not decorated, carved. Every surface covered in script and in forms that were not quite geometric and not quite pictographic, layered in registers the way ancient stone records are layered. At the far end, maybe 30 meters in, was the throne. I say throne because I have no better word. A single seat, raised on 3 shallow steps, large enough that a man seated in it would look small. The same dark stone as the door. The arms were shaped like something between a hand and a root system. The back rose in a curve that was neither organic nor architectural. It had been sealed. The carved arms folded inward, the back locked in a closed position. And from 30 meters away I could see it was very, very old. I walked toward it. I am not certain why. A maintenance custodian does not stand in the doorway. You go in, you assess, you understand what you are looking at. I stopped at the base of the steps. The hall was dry, not clean the way swept stone is clean the way stone is clean when nothing has ever touched it. My boots made the only sound. The veining of white gold light that had spread through the walls ran up the steps and across the throne's surface as well, tracing every carved line in it, filling every channel of channel script in the seat back and the arms and the front face of the steps. The throne itself had not changed, the arms still folded, the backs still locked. Whatever had begun when I touched the door, it had not finished. I was a maintenance custodian. I put my hand on the arm of the throne to steady myself. As I leaned in to look at the script carved into the seat back, the arms unfolded, not slowly, not violently. They opened the way a hand opens when the grip releases. One deliberate motion, fluid and final. The back of the throne unlocked and rose, and the entire structure seemed to draw one long breath, and then the light intensified. Not blindingly, enough to see the hall in full, the script in full, and to understand, even without reading it, that every line of it was a record of waiting. The doorway behind me, I heard Paris the guard. He must have come down early to check. His voice, when he found it, was very careful. He asked me what I was doing. I did not have an answer. The throne spoke. 2 words. I do not know what language they were in. I had no training in anything older than standard colony, and what I heard should have meant nothing to me. It meant something anyway. The way the smell of soil after rain means something without your knowing why. The throne spoke 2 words, and I understood them as clearly as I have ever understood anything. First Warden, not a greeting, a designation, the returning of something to its proper place. The way you name a river, not to give it something new, but to acknowledge what it has always been. The voice was low and even and very old, and it carried in that hall without echo. And when it stopped, the silence it left was not empty. It was full. It was 9,000 years of patience at its end. I stood in the light of the Vaerith Seat, and I was a convicted maintenance custodian, prison colony on a rock at the edge of settled space. And I was also, apparently, something else. Something older. Something the ground itself had been holding in trust, since before any empire had learned the name of this world, since before any warden had stood on this bedrock, and called it his. I am not a powerful man. I was not in that moment filled with anything resembling triumph. What I felt was quieter than that. The recognition of a weight I had been carrying without knowing it, something that had been true about me since long before the colony, long before the conviction, long before any of the choices or mistakes or plain bad fortunes that had brought me to a bedrock drainage detail with a shovel. They had thrown me into this place to break me. They had stripped my name from the colony records and replaced it with a number and a sentence and a assignment. They had built their prison on top of my inheritance. Paris was still in the doorway. Caldwell and Marsh and Teague behind him. I did not turn around. There was nothing to say. There was nothing to do with what had just happened except to stand in it and let it settle. The particular weight of being recognized by something that does not recognize lightly. Particular weight of a 9,000-year wait. Reaching its end in the hands of a man who had come down here to unclog a drain. I took my hand off the throne's arm. The light held. The arms stayed open. The Vaerith Seat remained exactly as it had made itself, ready, waiting on me, patient as bedrock. I went back to finish clearing the channel. Some things you sit with before you decide what to do with them. That is what maintenance teaches you. Assess, understand, then act. The throne had waited 9,000 years. It could wait a little longer.